The seventh step is taking control of time. So, for example, let's say you have fears about the financial markets. How many of you have fears about the financial and the economics and all that, right? We all do. All right, so let's set that aside, put that up on a shelf for right now, and think about the present moment. Think about where you are in the present moment. And there are exercises in mindfulness that I think one of Dr. Wright's colleagues is an expert in, where you basically focus on your breathing, you focus on the present moment. I was writing about this, and we have a house up in Connecticut in a very rural area, and I was looking outside, and I was thinking about, being in the present moment. I was looking at the clouds, and I watched the clouds go by, and I was thinking about being one with the clouds, and then I realized I felt like I was stoned. So what the hell was I writing about? Oh, staying in the present moment, right. But staying in the present moment, if you're worried, it's always about the future. What's going to happen with my 401k in 20 years? Stay in the present moment. Stay in the present moment with loved ones or, whatever it might be. Here's an exercise to put things in perspective. And you're worried about money. Let's imagine everything has been taken away. Your eyesight, your ability to have any sensation, your family, your body, your money, your job, everything has been taken away, all right? Now you have to ask for one thing back at a time, but you don't know how many of these things you're going to get back. You'll get one thing back at a time, but here's the trick. You only get it back if you can make a case that you really appreciate it. I did this with a patient of mine who had lost a lot of money, not in the stock market, but from a business deal. And he was ruminating about it and depressed about it and criticizing himself about it. And I asked him to put that up on the shelf for right now and think about what you would ask back, one thing at a time. And the first thing he had to ask back was he wanted his daughters back. He had 3 daughters. I said, which one do you want back first? He said, do I have to choose? I said, that's a good answer. You can have them all back if you can make a good case. And he went through each daughter and what he appreciated about them, which included the difficulties that they had, how they had grown together, how they had made him a better person because he had to learn how to love them. And that he went through each thing, went through his wife and how he appreciated her. And I said, close your eyes and let's imagine that you can never see again. If you could see again, what is the first thing you want to see? And he said, his family. And I said, you've noticed for the last 15 minutes as we've gone through this exercise, you haven't thought about money and you haven't mentioned money. You haven't worried about money. But all the things that were the most important to you were right here in front of you, but you never really looked at them because you were worried about the money and ruminating about the money. So a lot of things that, the old saying that the best things in life are free, although I've noticed they're getting very expensive nowadays. But a lot of the things that, if you think about the best memories that you've ever had in your life, the most wonderful time that you ever had, the experience that made you feel really at peace, they probably had something to do with, the birth of your children, or being close to a loved one, or nature, or music, or spirituality, or whatever it might be. And those are things that you can experience in the present moment. For example, one exercise that I find useful is to think about who has been kind to you in your life, and to which people or animals or to nature that you've expressed kindness and compassion. There's a lot of interest in what we call positive psychology, which is taking these positive aspects of human nature and values and virtue and using them as kind of antidepressant, cognitive therapy. So if you think about kindness and appreciation and compassion that you've received or that you've shown toward other people. I had a patient who was worried about money, and he tried some of these exercises, and he said, what I realize is that if I have gratitude I don't worry. So one of my patients who is a Jewish guy who was at a retreat, and he was worried about a lot of things, and he saw a rabbi, and the rabbi was in a wheelchair. And he said to the rabbi, I'm really worried about a lot of things and depressed about a lot of things. And the rabbi said, look at me, I'm in a wheelchair and I'm not depressed and I'm not worried. And the patient said, Rabbi, I respect you greatly, but I don't know if I'd be able to handle that. I don't know if I'd be able to handle a disability like that. And the rabbi said, think about this. What if I said, I'm going to give you $100 million. How would you feel? He said, I'd feel great. He said, but what if the next day I called you up and I said, Bill, I can't give you $100 million. All I can do is to give you $99 million. How would you feel? He said, I'd still feel good. And the rabbi said, that's what God did for me. Anyway, thanks for hearing me talk.